Today we're going to cover how to apply acrylic nails for beginners. Like and subscribe if you want to master beauty, or click the link below if you want expert guidance from us. First step is to prep the nail, which means your client washing their hands and you washing their hands and spraying to disinfect. Taking your cuticle pusher, very gently pushing that cuticle back to remove any overgrown cuticle that may be on the nail plate at the cuticle end, otherwise the product is not going to bond. Just be very careful when doing this that you don't have it up too much on an angle or you're going to dig into the nail. Also, you don't want it too flat or you're likely to slide it in under the cuticle and do some damage. So just on that 45-degree angle, very, very gently pushing it back, and as you're coming forward you will feel if it's removing any loose tissue. If you can see any hangnail or dry skin at the side, this would be the time to get your cuticle clippers in and just very gently clip that away. And remembering when doing this, don't pull. Make sure that you squeeze your clippers and cut rather than pull. Once you're happy that you have removed all of the excess cuticle, you're going to take your block buffer and you're going to very gently just run that over the nail, down the sides, around the cuticle, and that will help to remove any loose tissue that hasn't come off with the pusher or the clippers. Now remembering to pull the skin back, get right down the side so that you've taken all of the shine off that nail plate, otherwise the product is not going to stick. The other thing you need to do is shape the natural nail so that it's going to fit into the well of the tip. So we just need to slightly round it so when we put the tip on, it's going to be sitting very, very neatly in the well. Then before you attach the tip, just take a clean wipe or brush and remove the dust. Yeah. Step 2 is attaching your tip. So just choose a size that's going to cover the whole of your nail width. So just looking from side to side, you can see that that's covering the nail, but it's sitting really nicely down in the nail groove at the side. It's not covering the skin, and we've got a nice shape to the natural nail-free edge so that that just butts up really nicely and everything's going to sit flat. Fill the well of your tip with glue. Slide it down until you hear it click and then lay it flat down onto the nail. Now hold that firm until it bonds, making sure that you've got straight pressure. You don't want to tip it forward or back or you're going to end up with air bubbles. And that should only take a couple of seconds to bond. Once you feel it's bonded, just wipe away any excess glue and we're now ready to cut, blend and shape the tip. Step 3 is to cut, shape and blend the tip. So just if you're matching it up, just make sure that you cut it to the same size, the same length, or a little bit longer. Take your file and shape it. This one doesn't need much shaping because we're staying with the natural shape of the tip. And then we're just going to blend and smooth this ridge so that we can't see where the tip is sitting on the natural nail. So just keep your file moving. Don't spend too much time on one spot or it will cause friction and burn. Just keep moving that finger from side to side and filing, and eventually, as you can see, it's just blending that tip away very, very easily. This is a little bit tricky when you first start, but once you get the hang of it, as you can see, it takes about 20 seconds to blend a tip. The other thing you need to do is make sure that you take the shine off the edge of the tip, otherwise your product is not going to bond properly. Shiny won't stick to shiny. So once your tip is perfectly blended and shaped, just take your clean wipe or brush and remove any dust from the area. Step 4 is applying the acrylic coating. So the first thing you are going to want to do is apply some nail dehydrator or primer. Now you only need to apply it to the natural nail. It doesn't need to go over the tip, and you need to watch that you don't get too close to the skin. This will spread, so all you need to do is just dab a little bit in the middle of the nail, and as you can see, that's spreading out to the sides itself. And once that's dry and your nail looks completely dehydrated, it's ready for the coating. So what we're going to do, there's many ways to do an acrylic coating. They're all correct. It's the end result that you're after. I'm going to show you just how to do it in layers along the nail. Rather than doing it in sections this way, which is a lot more difficult to do, when you first start practicing, it's easier if you just get a ball on in the middle and start shaping it around the nail. And that's then going to allow it to be nice and thin around the edges and the tip, but a nice build up over the stress area. So taking a nice medium ball of mix, liquid and powder mix, and we do have another video on how to get the mix right if you follow the link below. So I've taken a reasonable size ball. You can see it's staying nicely on my brush. I'm going to remove it completely from my brush, and I'm going to start by pushing it back towards the cuticle where I want it really, really thin. So up to but not touching the skin. I'm holding my nail up a little bit so that it falls down towards the tip, which is where I want it to go. Just use the belly of your brush to keep the sides in nice and straight. And this is starting to dry fairly quickly, so I'm just going to use the belly of my brush to bring it all down towards the tip. Make sure my sides are nice and straight, that I don't have any excess product sitting down into the sides. And then my product will just start to self-level. So now we've got the basic shape. You've just got to decide whether you want it a little bit thicker. This is actually thick enough, but I've got just a couple of little imperfections where I need to add some more product. So all I'm going to do is take another small ball of my acrylic. So it's quite a bit smaller than the first one. I'm going to pop it straight onto the same area, and I'm literally just going to paint that over the nail, almost like nail polish. And that is going to fill any little imperfections or gaps that I may have had from the first coating. So I've still kept it really, really thin at the cuticle. I've kept it right away from the skin. And as you can see, that is self-leveling itself really, really nicely. So that's all you need to do. Now, if you find it still thin enough, just keep coating and going over the top until you find it's thick enough. Don't make it too thick. You want a nice refined nail. So that's the easiest way to get your acrylic coating on when you first start. And once that dries, we'll go through now and show you how to finish it. Next step is step 5, finishing off the nail. So in this step, we're going to clean up around the edges. They don't need much work, but we just want to make sure they're perfect, smooth over the top, and get it ready for whatever coating you're going to put on it. So to check that your product is dry, just take your brush and just tap. So you need to hear that clicking sound. If you don't and it still feels rubbery, it's not ready to file, and if you try, you're just going to take the whole thing off. So taking your file, you can do this however you like, but I always start with the sides. Just pull the skin out of the way, and I'm just going to make sure the sides are nice and straight, and also remove any product that may have gone down into that nail groove at the side. Then I'm just going to take it lightly around the cuticle. So even though my product went on really, really well, there's just a few little imperfections that we need to smooth down so that it's perfect, so that when we put the coating on, it's all going to look nice. Then I'm going to smooth over the top. I start with the tip, and I'm just going to tip my file up and just taper that tip down a little bit, make sure it's nice and smooth, and then run my file over the rest of the nail. So this is going to get it all smooth, get any little lumps and bumps out of the product. And then once you're happy with that, we're going to go over it with our block buffer. And that's going to get rid of any file marks from your 100 grit file. Now at this point, I'm going to take my thumbnail, I'm going to go around the edge of that nail. What I want to feel is nothing basically. I want to be able to run my thumb from the skin up that edge of the coating without feeling any sort of product step. So it's not stopping, it's not getting hooked on anything, it's just moving smoothly, which means that all around the edge of my nail is absolutely perfect. It's smooth and it's bonded to the nail plate and it's not touching the skin. That is the finish that you need for these nails to last. You'll get easily between 3 and 5 weeks out of these, even though they grow out. And then to finish it off, we're just going to leave this natural. So to finish it off, we're just going to take a chamois buffer and go over the whole nail. And you can see that's just bringing it up to a really nice natural sheen. So that if you've got a client that doesn't particularly want to have any nail art or even polish, you can finish off with that one. Drop a little bit of cuticle oil on and rub it in. And you can see that you've got an absolutely natural looking nail. So if we turn it on the side, you can see that we've got a lovely flat cuticle that's going to grow out nicely. Nice build up over the stress area and a lovely tapered tip. And looking down the barrel, you can see that the product is nice and even from side to side. So for any beginners or anybody that's struggling with the acrylic application at all, this is by far the easiest technique for you to start with. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want expert guidance from us to learn pro beauty skills, click the link in the description.